Okay, so we're diving right into it today with a situation that's unfolding like right now as we speak.
Yeah.
It's that conflict that's been escalating between Israel and Hezbollah. And look, you've been following the news. We've all been following the news. It's serious stuff. Yeah, absolutely. Hundreds of casualties. We're talking airstrikes in Lebanon. This is the real deal. Yeah, yeah. It is not a small thing.
No.
And it's something that I think a lot of people are looking at with a lot of concern right now, and kind of wondering like, okay, what is the real story here? Beyond sort of just the headlines, and what does it mean, not just for that region, but kind of for the wider world, and that's what we really want to dig into today. Exactly, exactly. And I think for a lot of people, we hear these names, we hear these places, and maybe don't have all of the background on it. So it's like, what is the actual, what's really at stake here? What are we talking about?
Right.
And I think so. Maybe let's back up just a little bit. Yeah, and like, who are we even talking about when we say Hezbollah?
Right.
And why should we care about this? Yeah, no, and I think that's a question a lot of people have. So Hezbollah, it's a group that we've heard about a lot in the news, particularly over the last several decades. But essentially, what we're talking about is a powerful political and military organization that's based in Lebanon.
Mhm.
And they have a very, very long and complex history with Israel, right?
Yeah.
Like this is not a new rivalry by any stretch.
Right.
This is something that goes back decades, and it's been marked by these periods of real intense conflict. And so this most recent kind of flare up that we've seen is really centered around areas like the Bekaa Valley, southern Lebanon. And what's interesting is that Israel is claiming that Hezbollah is essentially using these areas to stockpile weapons and that sort of things.
Yeah.
And they've even issued evacuation warnings, right? Like they've told
Yeah.
residents in those regions to get out. And that anytime you see that, that's never a good sign. It feels like it's escalating quickly when you start seeing that. Really, because that has implications. It does, right? Because and I think it's worth kind of just stating this outright. Issuing evacuation warnings like that, it's not something that Israel does lightly.
Right.
It suggests that they are seriously considering a ground invasion. And we have to think back, like historically, what have ground invasions in that region led to, right? I mean, we've seen prolonged conflicts, we've seen, significant civilian casualties. So, I understand that for a lot of folks, this might feel very far away. It might feel like something that, doesn't necessarily impact their day-to-day lives. But I think it's really, really crucial to kind of zoom out and think about the bigger picture here, and what this could potentially mean for not just the region, but frankly for the entire world. Well, and that's what I was going to kind of my next question is like, how do we connect this to that bigger picture?
Yeah.
What are the things that could happen here? What are the potential consequences? What are we looking at? Yeah, I mean, and that's the really scary thing is that if we were to see a wider conflict erupt in that region, and again, it's not a foregone conclusion, but if we were to see that, we could be talking about disruptions to global trade. We could see a refugee crisis that would make previous crises look quite small by comparison. You could see the involvement of other powerful nations, being drawn into this conflict, and all of a sudden, what started as a regional conflict, very quickly escalates into something much, much bigger. And so it's a stark reminder that as much as we might feel like, oh, this is happening over there, and it doesn't really impact us. The reality is we live in a deeply interconnected world, and so something like this, even if it feels far away, it really does have the potential to touch all of our lives. Right. And I think sometimes when we are dealing with, news like this, current events like this, it feels so heavy and feels, so important.
Yeah.
It's almost good to kind of cleanse the palate. Yeah. I think a little bit of a change of pace can be a good thing. Exactly. Exactly. And so I want to shift gears for a moment here to talk about something that is completely different,
Right.
but something that I recently stumbled across and was just fascinated by. And it's the work of a researcher named Sharri Plaza, and she is deep, deep in the world of ancient Kemetic culture.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and much like our listeners, I think she is somebody who, when she finds something that fascinates her, she digs deep, and she wants to uncover all of the hidden depths of it. And that's what we're all about here on the Deep Dive. Right, right. So remind me what exactly is Kemetic culture? I'll be honest, my ancient Egyptian history is a little rusty. Yeah, yeah. So essentially, when we talk about Kemetic culture, we're going beyond just, the pyramids, the pharaohs. Those are all fascinating things. Don't get me wrong. Oh yeah, but what we're really talking about is this incredibly rich spiritual tradition. Okay, that Shori believes, and I think there's a lot of evidence to support this holds relevance even today in terms of understanding human civilization, understanding ourselves on a much deeper level. And so she's going back and she's, really trying to piece together this puzzle. Oh wow, of this ancient culture, and see what we can learn from it. See, I mean, I think that's what I find so fascinating about studying history, right? Yeah. Is it's not just about looking at the past, it's about how that connects to who we are in the present moment. Exactly. And how it can help us understand the challenges and opportunities that we're facing today. So I love that she's doing that. Yeah, absolutely. So what's one key takeaway if our listener is listening to this right now? What's one thing you really hope that they glean from this exploration of Kemetic culture? I think what it really comes down to is recognizing the enduring power of human history and culture. At a time when we're talking about the Israel-Hezbollah conflict and we're seeing, very real conflict playing out in our world, I think going back and exploring something like Kemetic culture reminds us of the depth of human ingenuity and spirituality and resilience that we have seen across time. Right. And it encourages us, I think, to seek knowledge, to challenge our assumptions, and to find those unexpected connections that really enrich our understanding of the world, both past and present. And isn't that what we're always trying to do? It is, absolutely. And I think it's a powerful reminder that even amidst the chaos and sometimes the really difficult news that we're dealing with, there's always more to learn. There's always more to discover. And I love that. I love that we can hold those two things in tension. We can acknowledge the very real struggles that are happening in our world right now, right, and at the same time create space for wonder and for curiosity and for exploration. Exactly, exactly. And that's what we're all about here on the Deep Diver. Absolutely. So until next time, keep asking questions, keep exploring the world with a curious mind. Couldn't agree more. And we'll see you in the next Deep Dive.